Welcome back to the Worthy Woman podcast. I have a special guest today, the beautiful, amazing Nikki. This woman has incredible energy. I literally vibed off her as soon as I met her. We had this incredible connection. I was like, oh, just need to get in this woman's energy. She's incredible. She is a health and mindset coach, helping women with their confidence and limiting beliefs and their self-love. And there is so much that we want to cover today. We were just talking a bit before we went live, and there's so much value that Nikki's going to bring. But before we dive into it, I just want to hand it over to Nikki to tell us a little bit more about her and her journey, and just to get a bit more, get to know this beautiful woman just that little bit more, because she's amazing. She's got an incredible energy, and I'm super excited to share her and her amazing work with you.
Oh, thanks, Aston. My gosh, borderline crying. Beautiful. Thank you so much for having me today. As you mentioned, I'm a health and mindset coach, but I've had probably lots of hats, and I probably still wear lots of hats at the moment. So like most of your listeners, I am married. I've got two little girls as well. They're 7 and 5. They rule me. They rule my life. Not because I'm under their thumb, but, as we were just talking about, life, parties and sports and all the things. So I'm actually a high school teacher as well, but I no longer do that. When I was pregnant with my eldest daughter, I kind of thought, oh, what can I kind of do, on the side that I can take her along to? So I did my PT certs. And then when I had her, I ran some mums and bubs sessions. And over the last 7 years, I have been doing some short-term teaching contracts, some relief work. But in the last year, I've built my business up, and it started going back to like face-to-face personal training. But what I found was, you'd be with these women for an hour, and, you'd be talking about exercise and stuff. And then they would ask me a lot of questions about food. And if I'm honest, I didn't know the answer to most of them, because your personal training certificates don't set you up to really help people holistically at all. And then so I did a lot of education and some more learning in that area, and kind of went down the area as well of mindset and NLP training and all of that kind of stuff, and found that that's really what helps women. It would be the same with you, Aston. You would talk to couples, and they would have all these external drives. I just want to be happy. I just want to lose 5 kilos. I just want to not fight with my partner. But until we actually learn, look inside and go, well, why? What is the deep reason why? And find something that is so powerful that there can't be a plan B. You have to do this. You're not going to stick to anything. And that's why I've created my business based around that. So whilst I still support and educate women on movement and training if they want to train, and food, so they're not confused, can I eat bread? There's this very, very large mindset component to it.
I love that. And honestly, I 100% agree. In this world we live in, it's so surface level. And we see this a lot working with women and couples, that initially you come in and it's just like, I just want to communicate better, or exactly like you said, I just want to lose 5 kilos, or I just want to this. But it's always deeper. We always have to go deeper. So I love that you bring the NLP and the mindset into it, because it's everything. And we do the same. It's like you have to go deeper. You have to do that inner work. Because it's where it all starts. It's literally the seed, and a lot of the time we've got weeds in there. We've got so many weeds that we need to pull out, that, that have been planted through conditioning or whatever, or events or things like that. And I'd love to really dive straight into that, tackling those limiting beliefs, because that's what they are. And they really are holding us back, and they really are making us see ourselves or our partner or our life in a way that's not really true, and I know for me, I've experienced this in the past where, those limiting beliefs have created stories, and they've kept me separated from what I really want, and truly separated from love, and really rooted in fear, and feeling like I can't have what I want. And I know I see this all the time, all the time with couples, all the time with women, and I'm sure you do too. So I'd love to hear a bit about tackling those limiting beliefs? I know there's, quite a few ways that we can do it, but I'd love to hear your perspective of it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, you said so many great things there. I think the first thing is we need to understand how much power we have. We have so much power, and it's very, very, very hard to find and nurture that power, but we do. Humans, we've got this amazing ability called metacognition, which means that we don't just have thoughts, we can think about our thoughts, but that requires a lot of effort. So 95% of our actions and our thoughts are automatic, and they come from, like you said, Aston, this conditioning. So we've all got like this filter in our brain, and the external event happens, and that external event happens, for example, the same to 5 different women, right? It might be that they're arguing with their partner, or they look in the mirror and they're not happy or whatever. But then everyone's filter is different. And that's, like you said, Aston, based on things like past experiences, the way you're brought up, the fact that you're just born a woman, like so many things, so many stories. And that changes your perception on that external event. So that is what happens to us automatically. And that's what obviously creates within us these limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs are obviously beliefs that are limiting. Obviously, they limit us from reaching our full potential, or they limit us from achieving what we want to achieve. And the beauty of it, though, is that they're beliefs, right? They're a narrative, they're a story. And that's not to devalidate anyone's feelings who's listening or anything 100%. Like that. Your feelings are 100% valid and true and everything. But I guess what I'm trying to draw on is that you have draw some comfort in the fact that they are just stories and they are just narratives, and you have the power to change them. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be quick, but there are little things that you can do to do that. And I know, for example, right now, if you're a woman who, like most of us, probably haven't looked in the mirror at yourself for a very long time, you probably pick out the flaws when you do. The idea of actually getting ready in the mirror and not going, ugh, might seem so far away. And it's not to say that you're going to be there tomorrow, but you can start doing little things every day, and eventually then they're going to compound. And this limiting belief in your head, which is, oh, I'll never have my pretty baby body, or, oh, he's only staying with me because he has to, or look at my arms, all of these things will slowly start to disappear.
Yeah. And I love what you said. I was literally nodding my head the whole way through, because beliefs are not facts. But when you're believing it, it feels so true, just like so true that it is a fact. And I love what you said. Like, I feel the same. Validate and feel everything you feel, but then check in and ask yourself, is this serving me? Is believing this serving me? Is believing this getting me what I want? And, I had to do this, and I share this with women as well, that we have to then ask that question and bring that awareness. And most of the time the answer is no. Literally most of the time we are not gaining anything from believing that thing that is holding us back or making us feel like we're not worthy or deserving or good enough. And the power is in, like you said, that realizing it's a story. Like, a belief is just a thought that you think over and over again. And then that's why it has such a hold over you, because you've just repeatedly thought that thing, and then it becomes your belief. But you can choose to think something else. You can choose to rewire and create a new story. And then when you believe that, you're going to get a completely different result. It's so simple, but so powerful. And I loved how you said that, it is a compounding thing. Like, everyone's looking for the quick fix and the pill. And like I say, like the magic pill just to solve all their problems. Like, we are the pill. We are our own medicine. We just need to learn how to take that medicine every single day. It's like, if we stop brushing our teeth, they're going to fall out. They're going to rot. And that's the same with our thoughts. Like, we wash our hair. I've always found this strange. We wash our hair, we clean our teeth, like we look after the external, but we don't often go inside and do that cleaning up inside. And I think this time of year is the most amazing time to do that internal cleanup. Whether you reflect or journal, or just like Nikki said, just ask yourself, like, what are these beliefs that I'm thinking right now, that I'm believing? Like, what are the thoughts I'm thinking about myself or my relationship or my body, whatever it is, and is it actually serving me? And then there's an opportunity to really decide to think something differently. and believe something different, which is
Exactly,
really powerful.
because sorry, Aston.
So powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, a lot of the time that's scary, isn't it? The idea of doing a reflection. But even if not this, this, not even just at this time of year, but any time when we do hear these thoughts, like these inner mean girl thoughts, what do? We either wallow in them and then we move on, or we push them aside. Most of the time we try not to listen to them because she is mean and she hurts, right? So you don't want to listen to her. But all that does is like make her angry.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
louder.
both those ways are really forms of resistance, aren't they?
Exactly. So the way I kind of like teach people to deal with this is kind of like 4 steps. The first thing is grabbing this thought, right? Not being like, oh, shush, you're being mean. Like actually grab onto the thought. So like, what is the limiting belief? So for me, for example, something that I struggle with at the moment, not so much because I'm dealing with the inner me girl, but is this thought that probably most business owners have, which is, oh, why would anyone hire you? Okay. So then I grab her because I used to push it aside because it scared me, because then I'd be like, oh, what if they don't? Right. But then I grab her. Then the next thing, the step 2, is you almost need to like remove your ego. So look at it as if it was your friend or your sister coming to you, and you would disprove it based on fact, right? You would go, well, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they hire you because of XYZ? Why can't you feel good about yourself because of XYZ? Like, is it a fact? Like, has no human ever done that and it is inhumanly possible? Then no. So disprove it. Then from that, the third step is you really need to kind of, and this is the hard part, channel and try to like visualize yourself as that person. So take a few minutes and try to visualize yourself as that confident person, like in detail. What are you wearing? Who are you talking to? How you're standing? Are your shoulders back? Are you looking at them with confidence? Are you laughing loudly? Are you walking into a room not worrying who you're going to be bumping into? All of these things, like really visualize and feel like what it would be like to be her. And then the 4th step is you draw on that confidence from that visualizing to do the thing, like not the big scary thing, but a little 1%er. So for example, if you are just really, really lacking confidence right now because of 1,000 different reasons, you've had kids and time goes like that, and then there's no time for you, let alone making yourself, feel good within yourself, you would go, excuse me, you would go, okay, well, I'm not going to go walk down the street in a bikini because that's massively scary. But maybe tomorrow, what I might do is just while I'm doing my makeup, try to find 2 things that I like about myself. Then the next day, you would do another 1%er, which is, I don't know, I might give my kids an extra long cuddle when I drop them at school, because that releases dopamine and that's literally going to make me happier. So all of these little 1%ers eventually compound, and then you become that person that you visualized in step 3. You will one day wake up and be there.
I love that. And I really love that so much because I have a similar approach. I was thinking it in my head. I was like, this is your blueprint. You're creating a new blueprint. What we're doing, who we are right now, is just a blueprint that most likely someone else spoke over us or someone else created for us when we were young. And we've just been, like you said, on autopilot, just reenacting it. But we get to create a new one. And visualization is so powerful when we create the time and space to visualize what we actually want to be, how we want to feel, and realizing that that woman that you're visualizing is you. I just got goosebumps when you were talking about it. Like, she is you. You don't need to recreate yourself. You don't need to like get some clay and like remodel yourself. You're already there. It's kind of like, I see it like peeling back the layers of an onion, and you're getting closer and closer to the core of who you really are. And then I love what you said. It can be gentle persistence. It doesn't have to be, I think so often we see these examples of a confident woman that just seems so unrelatable to us, like in media, magazines, all those things that like make us think, oh, I could never be that, because some of them are just so flamboyant and so, outspoken, or whatever it is, and we might think, God, that's just worlds away from who I am. But that doesn't have to be what you're modeling it on. And like you said, it can be one percenters. So it could literally be that you take more time to do your makeup that day, or if you always wear your hair in a mum bun, and I'm totally okay with mum buns. I actually think of it like my crown. Whenever I'm wearing a mum bun, I'm like, I wear that with pride. This is a crown. But if you always do that and you don't feel good about it, then maybe you'll take the time that morning to straighten your hair or curl it or whatever. But it can be just one percenters that, like you said, make you feel good. You don't have to literally change everything overnight or become something that you can't actually visualize yourself being. I love that you shared that. That was really powerful. If you're listening to this, I would note that down and actually go through that, because that's a powerful process to help you to start to step into that worthy woman that we all have inside of us, and it's just literally a thought, a belief, a visualization, and then an action away. Like, it's really simple when you break it down like that. I love that. I want to you go.
So really quickly, I was just going to say, and then when you have that really strong connection as well, and you believe that it's possible, that trust, like that faith, that's going to get you through the tough days, like when life just happens, or maybe you are on a diet and the scales haven't moved in a couple of weeks. Maybe they've even gone up. Rather than throwing in the towel, you go, well, that's okay. Like, it's just a small couple of weeks of my whole life. I'll get there because I trust that I can get there.
Definitely. Yeah. Hugely powerful to have that connection. And just take it deeper. Like you said, like, take that connection deeper. It's deeper than the scales or, whatever is just happening on the outside. It's also like how you're feeling on the inside. And that's progress. That's huge progress. I would even argue that that's the hardest progress to make, because it's often you can't see it. It's not a physical thing that you can just grab from the external. It's something you've got to like cultivate and create from the inside out. And it can seem harder, to do that, but it's the most important, like, lasting work. I often say, I feel like it's the real work we're here to do, which I think is so important. What I was going to say is I'd love to, this really ties in great to bringing up confidence and how we build more confidence as women. Because I know this is something a lot of women struggle with. They just don't have the confidence to have tough conversations with their partner or even communicate their needs. They feel like their needs don't matter. I know a few years ago, about 3 years ago, I really struggled. I've always been confident, but because I've literally practiced it, I think people think it's this natural thing that you're just born with. And my belief is it's a skill, or it's something you cultivate and you practice by doing exactly what you said and taking those actions and disproving those old beliefs and then proving to yourself that you can have it or can do it. But I know sometimes I have struggled with like people pleasing and perfectionism and not always believing I can have what I want or ask for what I want even, and I know a lot of women struggle with this. I think women, just societally their voice has been suppressed, for so long that we're still reconnecting to our voice and being able to actually say, we want this or we want that, or, and often women express that they feel that they don't have the confidence to actually do what they want or say what they want, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the witch wound,
Yes.
the history, even today, get me off my pedestal because I will rant right now.
Yeah.
A strong, powerful a woman rather, is nagging or aggressive. A strong, powerful man is not. He's progressive and powerful. So no wonder we have these fears that are built, one, from society, exactly like you said, but then also just our history and our conditioning. Like, I know that sometimes my husband might ask me to do something or say something to me and it triggers something in me. And if someone else had of, I'd be like, yeah, sure, no worries. Because we have had that context of probably arguing about this same thing for the last 10 years. So it's no wonder we have this fear to ask for what we want, and not in an argumentative way, but just if you're not happy in your relationship, to be like, hey, we need to talk about something. Is this not working for us? Because we have all of this past experience where we think he won't listen to us, or we tried this before and it doesn't change, and
Yeah.
But when it comes to growing your confidence in that or any area, there's a couple of things. Like, I'm a firm believer in always kind of going, okay, well, what is the worst case scenario? Like, are you going to get eaten by sharks? No. Okay. So you don't want to go to your Christmas party because you at the start of the year, you made a resolution, you're going to lose 20 kilos and you're exactly the same, and you are, quote, disgusted by yourself and blah, 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 and you don't want to go to your Christmas party. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
What is the worst? Someone might say something about you.
So powerful. Because it's
what?
Never as bad as your mind is making out. Mine always my ego always makes me feel like someone's going to die. Like, and
absolutely
over the stupidest things. And then I pull it out and I'm like, that is so far from the truth. Like,
exactly. And like, so in that situation, what is the worst that can happen? What, someone might laugh at you? Okay, well, yes, that would be horrible, but it is highly improbable. Highly, highly improbable. And so what is the best case? You go and you have a wicked time with your friends. You might even meet some new people. You can add it to your, I'm going to talk about an evidence log in a minute. You can add it to your evidence log, and that is highly likely. So while we need to take a step back and go, okay, let's evaluate worst and best case scenarios, we then need to go, yeah, but the worst case is highly, highly unlikely, highly unlikely. And the second thing that has honestly changed my life is embracing fear. So whenever you're scared, you need to be excited by that. So obviously, fear it's there to protect us. Yeah. Like back in the day, we were running from tigers, so we needed fear. Now, our fear is more of the ego. We're self-conscious or we're anxious about a group of people, or we're worried that we can't ever get our body back, or whatever it may be. And yes, the fear is real. The cortisol is real, but it's not life-threatening anymore. So all it means is that fear is just keeping you like comfortable. That's what fear does. It keeps you safe, right? So whenever you feel fear, rather than be confined by it and scared by it, okay, be excited, because all it means is that you're like so close to doing something different. And you have the choice to take that step in the other direction and do something different. And that's just going to mean a different result, like, and a different experience. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be an amazing experience. So that has honestly changed my life in the excitement that I have whenever I'm uncomfortable, because I'm like, oh, that means that something cool is about to happen. And 2, it just it gives me the power. It exemplifies the power that I have to make a choice right then and there whenever I'm scared, and not let it overtake me.
I love that. And honestly, I feel the same. I've had to change my relationship to comfortable actually makes me feel really uncomfortable now. Like, I feel more confident and like I'm progressing and moving forward. And like you said, getting a different result, because in order to get something different, you need to do something different. I feel better when I'm actually uncomfortable. When I'm feeling that discomfort, I'm like, okay, well, something new is going to come from this. And I want something new right now. I want a different experience. And there is definitely an addiction to comfort in our society. And this, I would say, like a misconception that comfort is safety. And I always say, like, not always. If you're comfortable on the couch, like, that's great, but nothing grows on the couch. Nothing changes. Like, and if you don't want anything to change, that's fine. But if you're complaining about your life, complaining about your relationship, not feeling good about yourself, then how is that safe? To me, that's keeping you stuck. So, so often I love change. I'm one of those weird people, probably like you, who has embraced change, embraced the unknown, and just that side that it can be really beautiful. The unknown can be so beautiful. Yes, there could be some fear. And that, like you said, that's kind of part of everything that we do. There's always going to be that little bit of fear. And I love how you explained that when you just face it, of like, what is the worst case? You realize it's not, in most cases, it's not life-threatening. And if you flip the other side of the coin, it's like, what is the best case scenario? Like, how good could this get? Like, if I really just let myself lean into this, and in my experience, something good has always come. No matter how hard it is, something good always comes. There is always something positive when I lean into that fear and I do it anyway. And I think it's key that you can gently lean in, or you can dive in. You can dive in and jump in, or you can gently lean in. Like, everybody gets to do it in their way. I don't think there's one way to face your fear or one way to go through it. I've done a bit of both at different times of my life, like jump in, dive in, ready to go. And then other times I've been like, okay, I just need to lean in a little bit more every day. But I think the key is to just be willing to lean into that fear, in whatever way it is, because basically everything we want is on the other side of fear.
Exactly. And it's always worth risking that highly improbable worst case scenario for the highly probable best case scenario. And I'm sure that there are some women listening right now, who, and I think you mentioned this earlier, Aston, like, you're quite a confident person, perhaps listening to us thinking, oh yeah, but like, you guys are happy being on a podcast and stuff like that. And that's just a limiting belief. It really is. Yes, and again, I'm not meaning to, and I'm not trying to quote, call out your excuses or anything. I'm just saying this is just a limiting belief. Like, dude, you should have seen me the first time I ever went on like an Instagram story. I was sweating. Like, I did it like 5 times and before I put it up. And now it's just part of my day-to-day life. And I can say that my business, to be honest, has been a bit of a blessing for my self-confidence, because I have done a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have done if I didn't have my business. Like the first time I shared photos of my cellulite, I was like terrified. And even to this day, I probably would not have shared something like that on social media. But now it's like a weekly occurrence for me, showing, hey, like, this is normal. And I think the other day I even put something up, a picture of my body, and I'm the strongest I've ever been. But according to BMI, I'm overweight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but again, to prove a point that don't let these numbers get you down, guys. But I guess my point right now is that doing the scary things, they are freaking terrifying at the start. It's terrifying. Then they become normal. And also, like, another thing, guys, like, another thing that you may not realize is that doing scary things just makes you an inspiration for other people. If you have little girls or sons, but if you have a little girl and the norm for her is to see mum playing at the beach, that's amazing.
Yeah,
not
definitely.
caring. If the norm for her is to see mum in shorts with cellulite, that's amazing, because that is normal, but we all feel abnormal. Like, I'm not going to pretend it doesn't bother me. It bloody bothers me, but the more and more I wear the shorts and the more I post the photo, the less and less it bothers me.
100%. And I love that you said that, because honestly, even for me, it's been a skill. Like, I do believe that confidence is a skill. It's something that you work on by showing up, by doing the thing that scares you. And like you said, I loved, because I'm the same. I use my business, my husband, my children. If I can't do it for me, I do it for them, or do it for the people, like, channel the people you love to help lift you up to overcome those things. And like you said, be that example or be that inspiration for somebody else. It always helps me to not make it about me and be like, I'm showing up for somebody that I want to help, or, someone who needs to hear this right now. Like, it's not about me and whether I'm doing it right or whether this about myself or whatever. Like, that really helps me take the spotlight off myself and just, serve somebody else. And we all want to do that. We all want to help each other. We all want to see each other as imperfect humans, really. That's and be okay with it. And when we give that gift to ourselves, we are a massive permission slip for other women, for other people in our lives. And I love to see that ripple effect of when we give ourselves that permission slip, what that then looks like for other women, and how, I know I do it all the time. I see women doing amazing things and I think, oh my gosh, like, I'm celebrating them. That's amazing. And if they can do it, then I can do it too. And
exactly,
and that's what I want women to really take from this, that we don't have any special power. We, like, nothing is more perfect for us, or, things have not gone like perfectly. Things still happen for everybody. Like you said, life happens for everybody, but it's just what you decide to do with that. I think is the key thing. And whether you decide to, you know, stay stuck in fear or to do this work, to invest in yourself, to invest in your mindset and, you know, work on yourself so that you can, you know, love yourself more. And I'd love to touch on that before we wrap up the episode. Self-love is huge. It's absolutely massive. And I know it comes down, like it comes up in my work a lot, and I know it would come up in your work a lot with body image and mindset. And even after all of the work we've done, I feel like it's still such a massive mountain that we are all climbing every single day, women and men, like everybody. But I know women, it can feel like this thing around self-worth, self-love can sometimes feel like the hardest thing that they have to overcome in their life. So I'd love for you to share.
Yeah. Oh, so much.
Yeah.
Right. I want everyone to open their notes on their phone right now, unless you're driving, and write down that self-love is not selfish.
Yeah.
Okay. Self-love is not selfish. And because right now, for a lot of people who don't love themselves as much as they should, as much as they deserve to, or place a lot of their worth in things that are perhaps negative, or their perception is negative in their life, like their image. Sometimes self-love takes work, and it takes time to do that. So I know as a mum, especially this time of year, like you don't even have a second. You can't even go to the toilet without someone going with you. And like, I think I even went to the toilet today, and I was doing my Woolworths shopping while I was sitting there, because there are just not enough hours in the day. And especially as mums, even when we're not doing something, we find a thing to do, because the thing is always endless. And then we resent like the partner for sitting on the couch on their phone because they're not doing the things, even though we're choosing to do the things. One of the things that you have to do is make time for you. Okay, there's a great thing called Parkinson's law, which says that the task will get done in whatever time you give it. So if you've got 2 hours to clean the house, if you say, no, I am going to take 20 minutes and I'm going to go stand out the front or go out the back and put my feet on the grass and give the kids the iPad so they don't interrupt me, your house will still get cleaned in an hour and 40. Okay. And when you take that 20 minutes, even just 5 minutes, in the morning, like it's a bit hectic, you might be snapping at the kids and you're like, I just need 5 minutes because I just need 5 minutes. Yeah. You become a better mom, you become a better partner, you become a better friend, a better sister, a better everything, because you love yourself more and you are less resentful and you are less, that what's that book with the tree where everyone's pulling the leaves and the arms off the tree and the mum has none left. I think it's called The Growing Tree. Because we just give and give and give and give. And it takes work to find that self-love. And it probably seems a little bit scary, like, oh, how do I even do that? But you just play around. Don't place so much pressure on it. So do different things and see what works for you. For some people, it might be listening to a guided visualization. I love a good guided visualization, like 10 minutes, Spotify, done. It might be 10 minutes sitting in the sun on your phone or a book. But the point is, something that you want to do that is going to boost your mood. That's what self-love is. And then it transgresses to all elements of your life. I think, if we imagine a cup, guys. So every emotion that you have stimulates a chemical reaction in our body, so a hormone. So for example, you're feeling happy, you get dopamine. You're feeling stressed, you get cortisol. You're hungry, it's, leptin, okay? Your body can only produce so many hormones a day. So if you wake up and you are stressed and then this stresses you out and you've got to do this and you're cleaning the house and you resent that and you've got to do the food shopping and you resent that too, your cup is going to be filled up with cortisol, like stress, anxiety. Your body doesn't have the room to produce the things that make you happy. So you have to prioritize that.
And oh my God, literally my soul was just like, every woman needs to hear this. This was me 3 years ago. Like, I did not know how. I didn't even know I could. Like, I didn't even know I could make time and space for myself. Like, motherhood really got me in this really brought up my perfectionism, people pleasing, overdoing, overgiving. Like, it was, and I see it a lot. I see it so much, and I love that you spoke to this, that in the end, for me, it was just like, I had to show myself love. Like you said, I was becoming a mum I didn't want to be. I was becoming a wife I didn't want to be. Truly, because I wasn't loving myself. I wanted to blame everybody else and like if they just did everything, but I wasn't letting go of everything. I wasn't, like you said, willing to like cut down the amount of time I was running errands or cut down the amount of time I was cleaning to actually just give me some like a slice of my life. Like now I'm like, if you can't find 5 minutes for you, Aston, you don't have a life. Like that's literally what I say to myself. And now, like we were talking before we went on air, like I have these little resets or moments for myself multiple times a day now, because I've received the power of it. I know that I'm a better mum. I'm a calmer mum. And exactly, I love the visual metaphor of the cup. I really see it as a cup as well. And exactly what you said, when we're just full of that resentment and stress, when we get bumped by life, bumped by our kids, triggered by our husband, what overflows is stress. So it's like whatever is in the cup is what is going to overflow out and spill out. So it's no wonder, like especially this time of year, that we end up snapping and so my invitation around this time of year is to slow down, is to not add more to your plate. It's to take things off. It's to delegate. It's to reprioritize. I know a lot of women love to write a list, but I had to literally stop writing lists because they were never ending. Like I was just constantly adding to this list. And now I'm more, if I do write a list, I spend a lot of the time crossing off what really doesn't matter. Does it really matter if this doesn't get done? Like, is anybody going to die? Is the world going to end? No. But if I don't fill myself up, if I don't show myself love, then that is going to have a really costly outcome. And it does affect your health. It affects your mood, your health. I know for me, I started losing my hair when it was really bad 3 years ago because and I knew it was because I was neglecting myself. Truly it is looking after yourself. And again, it comes back to like, if you've got kids, this is what really, really made me make the decision that I needed to put myself first is I know that my kids were going to do and model what I was doing, not what I was telling them. They were learning how to look after themselves by whether I was looking after myself or not. And that's how we ended up in these patterns. Like it's generational. We maybe didn't see our mums go and catch up with friends. We didn't see them take a break. We didn't see them paint their nails or sit in the sun or read a book because they were always running around serving everybody else. And then we often think, well, that's what we're meant to be doing. And if they should do it, then we should be able to do it too. And it's like, yeah, we can, but it comes at a cost. I think you really need to weigh that cost up.
Exactly. And then I loved what you said about the cup over like being knocked and overflowing, like when life throws things at you, if your nervous system is just so accelerated by stress and anxiety, that's what's going to overflow. But like you just said, if it's filled up with joy and gratitude, that's what's going to overflow. And I think at the start, we were talking about our filter and how we perceive external events. I hope this is all connecting now, something's going to happen. Beautiful. So, on Christmas Day, when you got everyone at your house and all of a sudden, I don't know, the food burns or stuff's missing or people are late, if you're just happy, then you're like, oh, okay, no worries. How do we fix this? But if you're constantly stressed out, like, everything's going to be different.
Yes.
I'm going to pick my kids up from school shortly and they're going to be hot and bothered and grumpy. If I was hot and bothered and grumpy as well, it probably would clash. But because I'm prioritizing some time before, and I get that I have the luxury to do that today, a bit of me time before I pick them up, I'm going to just roll with the punches and give them the cuddle that they need rather than be like, okay, enough or else, ...
Yes,
which is what I would used to do.
Yeah. And we all fall, like nobody's perfect. You can fall into those patterns. And I see that now as a sign that I need to fill up. Like I don't guilt myself. I don't get angry. I don't blame myself. I don't shame myself. I literally see that. So if this is happening to you, if you're short with your kids, you're snapping, or like, you're being like looking at your partner and you're like, giving him evils, if you're feeling any of that, it's just a sign that you need some time for you. It's don't reject yourself. Don't shame yourself. Don't feel guilty. I literally take it as a sign like, oh, Aston, you need some time. Like, how can you, and we all can create this time. I loved how you said, is it Parkinson's law? What was it?
Yeah, Parkinson's law.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. And I have heard of it before, but the way you explained it, I was like, that is so true. So, the whole reason, like, yes, okay, you're lucky to have this time to give yourself some time today. I went on a date with Adam today, but I do believe you create your luck. So it was a choice we made. It's in our diary, we schedule it, and you have decided that today, part of my day, this block of time is me time. And in that me time, I'm going to do whatever I feel I want to do in that time. And that's a decision and that's a choice. And because we're all living our own lives, we get to choose. And often I think as mothers, we feel like we don't get to choose, and we do.
We feel guilty about using our time as well. Like tomorrow I've got my daughter from kindy, she'll be home all day with me, so I can't have, I can't schedule it in as easy, but I know, for example, we're probably going to get home from gymnastics or something, and I'm not going to feel guilty about putting a movie on for her while she has a snack. I'll do that, and then I might just honestly retreat out the back for a cup of coffee for 15 minutes and just
100%.
fill up.
Yeah. And
so it's fitting it in where you can. And I know that, people work full time. So it's called radical responsibility. You look at your situation and you can either go, woe is me, or you can go, okay, well, these are the things that I can't change. So where can I fit it in?
Yes. And what can I change? What do I have the power to control here? Because yes, there's always going to be some things out of our control, but then there is always things that are in our control. And often, and I was guilty of this in the past, when you're in that, like you said, that perception where you're seeing everything as like, I'm the victim mentality, when you're in that, place and you're just full of cortisol and stress, it is hard to see the light. It's hard to see that there is a possibility. Or like if you're at work, that you could go and eat your lunch outside. And that could be really loving. You could feel really good. You could take a book and read a book. Like there's so many things that could open up. And everything we've talked about on this episode today, I feel like it's all married in really well, and it compounds on each other to get to this place where you realize it is all connected, and that it all does come back to you, and that you do have the power. So I loved talking to you today. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've got so much gold from today, and I know so many listeners will as well. Thank you so much for sharing your time and energy with us, Nikki. You're so beautiful.
Grateful. You're so grateful. And I was going to say, I just really hope that, you got heaps out of this. And that one of the main things is not to feel guilty. If you did take 20 minutes to yourself today, you don't omit that when your husband gets home from work and say, what did you do today? You own that. Because if you omit that you did that for yourself, you're creating an energy of shame and lack around something that should be beautiful and is earned and is totally like, you deserve it.
Yeah, it's our birthright.
So you're correct. And so that's putting a boundary in, by saying, oh, I did this today for myself, that's putting a boundary in that you deserve. Yes. So thank you so much for listening. Sorry, I just hijacked your conclusion then.
No, this always happens to me. I literally think I'm ending and then we keep talking. So this is very common. I loved that. And you just opened another door for me that was like, when I started, because I know, like you said in the beginning, it'd be hard to put yourself first. But once I did start doing that, and I did own, like you said, it's really important. I'd own to my husband when he'd come home. Oh, today I went and got a massage, or today I, sat outside for most of the day and just, sunbaked, read a book, like really filled myself up. When I owned that, I realized most of the time, he didn't care. He was like, great, babe, awesome. Like, and I was like, and sometimes I would think I need to justify. I'd be like, oh no, but I did do this. And I'd find myself still talking, and he would literally he was not even in the conversation anymore. And this one time I remember going, you don't care, do you? And he was like, huh? What? No, what I think it's great. And I was like, wow. And he was like, why? What's the problem? And I was like, well, I really literally felt like I had to justify myself to you. And that's not on you. That's on me. That's something that I need to look at in me. And he was like, oh, babe, I don't want you to feel like that. Like, I see what you're doing. I know you do this for the kids and that, and, you don't need to justify it. And it was really powerful because I then stopped making him feel like he needed to justify. So this again is where you can be like, in a relationship sense, you can be each other's permission slip. So he knows that he can have time by himself, and I'm not going to be like, what did you do with that time? You know, and like judge him or question him. Like, I'm like, great, babe, that's awesome. You know, that you gave yourself what you needed. And I notice the difference, like, and he notices the difference. Like, he's like, if I build myself up and I come back into the room, he's like, wow, you look amazing. Like, babe, you look so hot. Like, and, you know, so, and I might have no makeup on, you know, it's none of that external. It's that I have like loved myself from the inside, and he can feel it and he can see it. Like, it comes back to the energy, doesn't it? And they can pick up on that, and our kids definitely pick up on the energy. And yeah, it's such a beautiful gift that definitely goes both ways. I loved that you shared that, because that, I think that is really important, that you fully own it. You own that you deserve that time, and just as much as you deserve it, so do they. So, you know, there doesn't need to be any guilt either way, and there really cannot be. You have to drop the guilt. Like, I often say there's like no point in doing it if you're then going to feel guilty about it, because you've literally undone all the work. So
Exactly.
It's not worth it at all. Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, again, I've absolutely loved this episode. I'm so glad we got that last bit of gold in, because I think that is really important. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Nikki has so much value to share with us. Like, you have to go check her out on Instagram. She is literally just such a beautiful energy. I'm going to put all her links below, so you'll be able to go and find Nikki and check her out and soak up her wisdom and her magic. And I'm just so glad that we did this episode. Thank you so much for being here, beautiful. And yeah, I just love your work.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.